Pathways to Success, a program that supports our micro, small, and medium enterprises here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. People who are kids at heart never grow old. Going into toy stores bring out childhood nostalgia, and toy collecting and comic book reading are their top hobbies. With the 2024 SuperManila Comic Con just around the corner, collectors are excited to meet international comic book legends from the United States, Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong. This event was put together by Comic Odyssey, Bankee, Arigatoys, and our very own Filbars. Today, we're excited to have on the show Filbar's co-owner and Lego designer, Ivan Guerrero. Hello, Ivan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mai. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. Now, I know toy collectors out there are excited about this Super Manila Comic Con.
Right.
But before we talk about that, give us a bit of history on Filbars. This is such an iconic store.
Yeah, I think many of us grew up with the brand Filbars. I'm actually not one of the original owners of the store. So Filbars has actually been around since 1979. It's the oldest brand that caters to comics and collectibles in the Philippines. And it might even be one of the oldest in the world, could be.
Yeah.
So with that long history, everyone has grown up with Filbars. Even, I would say, people who are now practicing as illustrators and writers in the comic book industry.
So much history there. I remember going to one of the first, I think, was in Katipunan Avenue.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Cubao was.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
I was a little girl back then, like going into a comic book store for Archie comics, right? So, okay. When did you acquire it from the original owner, Filemon Barbasa? And how did this all come about?
So I think we took over the brand around 2012, 2013, thereabouts. It was me and my high school barkada. We actually grew up reading comics, and we were big fans of the store. That's where we would get our comics every week. And when we found out there was an opportunity to take over the brand, it was something we were talking about since we were in high school.
Okay.
Someday, we'll put up our own comic store.
How old are you now, by the way?
I'm 40 something. We decided we would reinvigorate the brand and bring in new products and things that would excite the market.
Yeah. So how have you then revitalized the brand coming from its, the original? It was comic books, and what else did they sell back then?
So actually, if you grew up with Filbars in the 80s and 90s, you kind of knew it for comics and magazines.
Okay, yeah.
If you kind of grew up with the brand in late 2000s, it was more of magazines, 2000s, 2010s. People knew it as a magazine brand. When we took over, we decided we would bring back comics front and center. And in addition to that, we wanted to cater to geek lifestyle.
The geek lifestyle,
yeah.
Okay.
So we brought in a few other brands, for instance, Threadless, which is a fashion brand of clothes. And then we brought in collectibles. So first with Funko, which is huge with a lot of fans. We brought in Hot Toys, which is high-end collectible figures, action figures. And then most recently, we have Pop Mart, which is a brand of mystery box collectibles.
Yeah. Okay, the boxes that, has a surprise inside.
Yeah, everybody wants a surprise now. They're not happy with buying just what you see on the box. There has to be an experience as well.
Yes, with the unboxing videos now everywhere. Okay, tell us about the legacy of Filbars. How has it been retaining that legacy, aside from, of course, retaining the name?
So we've always catered to the geek market, and the legacy really lives on in its customers, just like myself. When I talk about Filbars, I don't really see myself right away as a co-owner, but as a customer, a loyal customer who has been shopping at the store since 1980 something.
So you know how they think,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
So I'm a customer first. In fact, I would say I'm one of
The top.
one of the top customers at Filbars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about the division, because you have business partners here. How do you divide the areas of business?
So I'm more focused on creative. It's actually my background. I come from advertising and commercial direction production. So my day job is actually I produce and direct videos. So for Filbars, I'm responsible for marketing, product development, and so on.
Okay, so
Yeah.
deciding to bring in toys to Filbars, how did that boost sales and how much was the growth?
I would say it brought in a whole new market altogether. So previously, we were just really catering to readers of comics and print in general. With new collectors, it's grown across demographics and both male and female. That's the great thing also. You're seeing a lot of female collectors coming into the hobbies now, whether it be for comics, but also more mass audience hobbies like Funko Pop.
Okay, let's talk about the geek market, which is your market. Tell us about the growth, the demand for toys and collectibles now.
So yeah, as I mentioned, it cuts across genders, cuts across ages. So for instance, Lego. Lego is it's not a brand we carry in particular, but it's a brand that has so many different audiences. People build Lego from age 4 to age 1999 or 3 up to 99.
They start early, yes, with Lego.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the great thing about collectibles. There are so many niches, and it ranges across so many demographics.
Yeah, it cuts across age and gender. Okay. So tell us about, given that demand for toys, okay, let's talk about you designing for Lego. Congrats on that, by the way. You mentioned before this interview, this was your third design collaboration?
Yeah, so I've actually produced designs for Lego, not as an employee of Lego, but as a fan. So they have a program called Lego Ideas, where people can submit designs for Lego sets. And if it gets a certain number of votes, it's 10,000, Lego will review your design, see the marketability of the design, and if it's worth producing, they'll actually produce it and sell it in stores across the world.
Interesting. And what we're showing now is one of your designs, the family tree. Tell us about the concept here and how did this come about?
So the family tree is a set that came out this year, came out Feb 2024. It's actually based on, we have a real family tree at home, a huge mural, where every year I decorate it and add new portraits of family members, just to expand and show everybody how big the family is at home. And I wanted to duplicate that experience and share it with other people across the world. The ability to create your own family tree for your families.
Very nice. And for kids also, and the whole family to be engaged in building their own, right? Okay, we will pause for a break. What were your favorite comics growing up? And are you following any of our promising Filipino comic writers? We have more to talk about in this episode. Up next, the upcoming SuperManila Comic Con and the Filipino comics writers that you should watch out for. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Pathways to Success. We're still with Ivan Guerrero of Filbars. Now, SuperManila Comic Con is back, and this is the second year that you are holding this after the pandemic. Tell us about the highlights for this year. What are fans going to expect?
So we got a whole lot happening this year. We brought in several new brands, very exciting collectible brands that are bringing exclusive items to the convention floor as well. We have Marvel Editor-in-Chief, CB Cebulski. He will be doing portfolio reviews, and he'll be scouting for the next new Marvel artists to work on the Marvel brand of comics. We have two of the hottest cover artists right now, Stanley Archerm Lau and Peach Momoko from Japan, flying in just for the event.
So those are the ones headlining this event. How many are they coming over?
We've got about 10, 12 people that are headlining the event this year. And we really wanted to make it feel like an international Comic Con, give it that sort of flavor, so that a lot of our fellow fans don't have to leave home, leave the country just to attend.
Yeah. Just a background on Comic Con, SuperManila Comic Con. How did that get started?
So in 2019, we really wanted to create a comic book event that celebrated Filipino talent in comics, animation, pop culture, and beyond. So there are other events in the Philippines that celebrate toys or just comics or different fandoms, but we wanted to create an event that kind of gave you like a broader celebration of all of these. The same way that there's international Comic Cons in the US. Bring everybody under the same house. So yeah, that was really our goal in the inception.
And you mentioned Cebulski will be here.
Yeah.
On the hunt for the next new talent. Wow, that's an opportunity for them to get up close and personal with the man himself.
Yeah. Actually, from the Comic Con, our SuperManila Con last year, CB was also there, and he was able to pick out 3 artists from that event who are now doing projects for Marvel.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, tell us about the comic book landscape in the Philippines.
So it's quite diverse right now. There are, aside from international comics, meaning Marvel, DC, there are a lot of new publishers coming into this. Independent publishers creating their own brand of comics.
Yeah.
It's a very diverse and healthy industry to be in. A lot of people just want to put out their works and their stories. I always, people always ask me, how diverse is it? I tell people, well, for instance, right now I can think of 2 comics that are about medical profession.
Wow, okay.
I mean, just to give you an idea of how many niches there are, how many subgenres you can get into when it comes to comics.
Okay. And also illustrators, Filipino illustrators are also getting discovered.
So, I mean, there's so much talent out there coming from the Philippines. Just having this platform of self-publishing, it creates a lot of opportunities for our artists.
Is there a certain writing style that's prominent among our Filipino comic book writers?
I wouldn't say a prominent writing style, but I would talk about a little bit more about art style. So Filipinos are very detailed in artwork. They work very fast as well. So there's a lot of talent, and that's why a lot of international publishers really like working with Filipino creators.
And CB Cebulski ranked the Philippines as among the top 3 in comic making. Okay.
Yeah. Last year, he actually got interviewed about it, and he said, where would you rank the Philippines in terms of popularity or output, in terms of creative output? And he would say he would put it in the top 3, first being the US, followed by Italy, and then the Philippines.
Okay, is this because of how diverse it is, like you mentioned?
Not just, also diverse, but we've had a long history of being in the comic book industry, going as far back as the 1970s internationally. But our history of comics goes even further than that. In fact, I would say the very first comic book was created by Jose Rizal.
Really? What was
The
that?
Pagong and the Matsing and the Pagong, the story of the turtle and the monkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a rich history then. Okay. So Super Manila Comic Con will not only feature comics but also toys, the collectibles. Of course, for the collectors, they're willing to shell out thousands for the toys, right? So what is the trend now in terms of the collectibles?
So one of the big trends right now is mystery boxes. I mentioned
Yeah,
it
yeah.
earlier. People like being surprised by what they take home. So there are many new brands that are in this field. For instance, Pop Mart, 52 Toys. So they come with like
A lot of fans of Pop Mart.
a lot of
Yeah.
fans of that. Yeah, everybody's collecting it right now. So it shows you like a list of the possible figures you can take home, and everyone's looking for that special figure that comes like limited to one in a box of 12 or so on.
So tell us about the types of collectors then. Are there, it's for the nostalgia, or is it for collecting a limited edition item?
As diverse as the products are, that's how diverse, I guess, the kinds of collectors there are. Just like collectors of art, I would say. There
Yeah.
are people who collect art because they really like an art piece, or there are people who collect art because of the value that goes up after a few years. So it's exactly the same. There are collectors who collect for nostalgia. There are collectors who collect because they like a certain artist or a certain brand. And there are just people who just find something that speaks to them.
Tell us about the toys, some of the toys that you brought here. Let's start with the Transformers.
Okay, so what I have with me are some of the items that will be exclusive to Super Manila Comic Con, our event happening next week. So first up, we have a golden edition of Transformers blockies. These are going to be launched at the event.
How many pieces are you releasing of that?
Very limited. I actually don't have
Limited
the exact count, but it's limited run for the Philippines. I also have with me a Delta Gundam 2. So this is a model kit, 1/144 scale, and this is also a convention exclusive for Super Manila. Lastly, I have
Over here.
over the corner, that is a Bishoujo, a Japanese cute girl figure, where they reinvent a Transformers character as a cute female.
So, is it a Transformer?
It is technically a Transformer,
Okay.
but it's a cute girl in a hoodie that looks like a Transformer.
Okay, very young.
Yes.
Catering to the Gen Z, probably. Okay, so we have to take a short break. When we return, we will talk about the Filipino comics writer who is the face of Super Manila Comic Con 2024. Pathways to Success. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Pathways to Success. I'm still with Ivan Guerrero of Filbar, and this time we will talk about Filipino visual artist Von Randall, who delivered the visual that marks Super Manila 2024. Now, Ivan, tell us about Von's involvement in this. Let's start with the Transformers, and I have with me here treasures. Let's show this to our viewers. First, this antique.
Okay, so I have with me a copy of Transformers #1 from 1984. It is a 40-year-old comic book.
Wow.
It's been in my collection for many years now. So this year marks the 40th anniversary of Transformers. To mark the occasion, this comic book is actually being reprinted by Image Comics.
Okay. So this is the reprint created by Filipino illustrator Von Randall.
So when we found out they were republishing the book, we decided to do a special cover for the Philippines, available only at SuperManila.
Okay.
And this is by Von Randall. He's a Filipino artist. And the cover features one of the characters, Hound, transforming into a jeepney.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
So, but this is the first reprint for the Transformers, or
It may have been reprinted before, but it's
Okay.
the first Filipino,
reprint.
Transformers exclusive.
I'll put this down already. It's very rare. And what a treasure. Okay, can you tell us about his process for design?
So when we first came up with the idea to do this book, we wanted somebody who really captured the essence of Transformers. See, Vaughn was an artist who has very technical drawings, and so it works really well for machinery. When we were coming up with the idea for the book, we had actually read through the old comic, and we figured that this character, Hound, was featured kind of prominently. In the book, the character transforms into a U.S. military jeep.
Okay.
And if you know your history of the Philippines, the U.S. military jeep actually, over time, transformed into the jeepney.
Okay, yes.
So with this cover that Vaughn created, we're actually paying tribute to the long history of the jeepney.
The evolution of the jeepney. What was the process getting Hasbro's approval on this?
It was a very short, tight process. We only had about a week to have the idea presented to Image Comics, approved, have Vaughn illustrate, and then have it published. So in a week's time, we had to do all of that.
Yeah, but there's so much talent out there, right? So what are the similar opportunities that are available to our Filipino illustrators or Filipino comic book writers?
So comics, again, is a very diverse industry. There's so much going on. As talented creators, we always encourage people to just keep drawing, put yourself out there, put out your ideas, and put it to print. Eventually, you might become like a talented artist like Von Randall, who is now producing work for both Image and Marvel.
How valuable is this Transformers reprint? Is it, I understand there are only 1,000 copies of
Yeah,
this?
that's right. So for this print run, we're only doing 1,000 copies. We are selling them at the event for about 800 pesos, but due to the limited number and the demand, we expect this to go up in value significantly over a short period of time.
Okay, very quickly, the growth of the comic book publishing here in the Philippines, is there support from the government, and what does the community need?
So there are programs, both private and public, so government sponsored, where creators do get a bit of support for their own IP development. But I mean, it all starts with really putting yourself out there, putting your works out there.
Yes. Okay, thank you for joining us here in the studio. Congrats on this big event coming up. More power to our comic book writers and illustrators.
Thank you so much, Mai. We hope you will join us at Super Manila next week.
Yes, invite everyone to go. SuperManila Comic Con.
SuperManila Comic Con is happening September 7 and 8 at the space at 1 Ayala in Makati. Tickets are on sale now at supermanila.ph.
Go check it out. And that's our episode today. To our entrepreneurs, more success to you. And we leave you with this quote from Spider-Man, a favorite quote: "With great power comes great responsibility." Thank you for watching, and see you again here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.